Alright guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another video. We are going to be showcasing the newly EZA'd Transforming Goku Black. I'm really not looking forward to this one, I won't lie to you. Such a disappointment, probably one of my most anticipated EZAs, one I was looking forward to for a while. And he's been completely shagged. He is rainbowed, he is level 10 links, he's even got skill orbs on already. And it's probably not going to make that much of a difference. But we are doing things a little bit different. I am going into the Shadow Dragon stage of Red Zone because every piece of difficult and meaningful content in the game right now is against stream class enemies. It's short form and it's extreme class enemies. So we're going to have a realistic perspective of what he's going to be doing and how well he's going to be doing before we actually take him in against the big boys. So turn 1, he is starting with 347k attack stat, 146k defense. Of course, the biggest part about his kit is he does stack by 50% on super, which to be fair is actually decent. It's just if his additionals in base and his other additional when he's in Rose wasn't locked behind facing superclass enemies, because there aren't none. Literally aren't none. So 3.8 to start with. I can't imagine his damage output in base is going to be anything special. Like anything special at all. You know, he is only getting attack and defense plus 8%, potential system additional popping off. You're going to need as many of those as possible, but, you know, quite inconsistent to rely on. But the key plus 2 is nice, I'm not going to lie. Attack and defense plus 80%. He does get an additional attack plus 40% up to 120 and defense plus 30% up to 60% at the start of each turn. So the defense will be done after, what, 2 turns? And then the attack will be done after 3 turns. So not long at all. The only problem with that is, and especially with him just relying on himself stacking and not having those additionals to have, you know, relying on as well, a lot of the content is ending turn 5, turn 6. So by the time he transforms into Rose on turn 4, which don't get me wrong, his transformation conditions changing to 60% HP or above from turn 4, great change. Great change. The only problem is, because of how doo-doo he is, and how long it will take him to actually like get going, by the time he would even start or begin to like, you know, actually start to get going, not even like literally like he's doing well, but actually like start, you know, to be somewhat usable, the event's done. The event is done. See, this is why in base he would have done, guard would have done him wonders. Having those additionals just there rather than locked behind superclass enemies would have helped him out so much. Again, my biggest comparison I keep making is look at Tech Transforming Trunks. He has a ton of additionals to kind of help him in the content, like the content we have. He stacks up incredibly quickly. Like, don't get me wrong, there's that portion where he first goes into Super Saiyan where he's a bit techy and could be caught. But once he gets going, which is fairly quickly because all the additional supers he can do, you know, it helps him out quite a bit. But Rose, unfortunately, or Transforming Goku Black doesn't have that. So we do have Rose's support, so that does push it up to 400k defense. Don't forget, that's attack and defense plus like 50%. So our defense is down in the realms of 300k. Which, I mean, isn't too bad. You know, in terms of basics, that's enough to contend with the likes of, like, the beginning of a Mega. It's enough to contend with Cell Max. Red Zone Cell Max, not actual Cell Max event, definitely not. Like the beginning of Broly, but that's kind of the standard of like every EZA and new unit nowadays, is they can handle the older Red Zone stages and basics of the majority of all the difficult content in the game easily. Like, that will do nothing to them. It's the new ones that the newer units and EZAs are tested against, which Goku Black doesn't have a chance against. Not even like, if we take the new stage, for example, right? We take the new stage. Because I should have already done the breakdown video by now. The new stage does 500k on a basic in the very beginning. Goku Black starts with 147k defense. Even after one turn of stacking, even if the potential system blesses you and it constantly pops in base, His second appearance, he's going to be on just over 300k defense. He still doesn't have enough to even tank a few thousand, let alone double digits. And if he was to be supered by the 1.2.5 mil super attack that Zamasu can do, he will be one shot. Then you have to consider the second phase, which is Fizz, which is immediately a big disadvantage. But even then, he does 700k on a basic. By the time you get there, Goku Black may have, I don't know, 600k defense. It's a bit better. But he's still taking like over 100k on a basic from the new red zone. Even if you take the stages before that, he doesn't get enough defense quick enough and have anything else to cover him before he gets going against these new stages. And this is what I mean. This is why it really confused me of the way they decided to do his EZA. Like, don't get me wrong, the crit chance in his passive in the beginning is good, but he needs to be hit. He's taking too much damage for that to build up. Like, wouldn't it have made sense to give him some like guard in base? Or even like just a few turns of guard to kind of help him get on his feet, help him stack, cover him. Especially with the way Dokkan has made this content. You know, all the new Dismal Future Edition Red Zone stages are 2 phases that hit really hard. And for some reason, they've made Goku Black built for long form content against superclass enemies, which there is neither of. Unless it's coming, but we always say that and it never does. It's just kind of weird. What are we up to right now? 522k defense. What turn are we on? Turn 5. See, against a Broly, against an Omega, that wouldn't be too bad. Against the Cell Max, a little bit more risky, but wouldn't be too bad. 6.5 mil is not too bad either. I know a lot of people said in Rose doesn't do that much damage. Don't get me wrong, it's not the most, but because he does have a 50% chance to crit built in, with now one of his additionals unlocked that he just gets, and there's only one locked behind facing a superclass enemy now, that's a potential of 2 supers, 3 from potential system, and a built-in 50% chance to crit. So him doing between, like, once he's built up his attack, which is 50%, 10% each time, 5 attacks, you're looking between 7.5 to 8.5 million attack with a 50% chance to crit and a 50% chance of additional super, and then if you have dupes, the potential system as well. So him doing like 8 million to 8.5 million on a super with the 50% chance to crit and that additional, I would say that's actually not bad. Once he gets into Rose, he can actually do some decent damage, mainly because of that built-in crit. So he's now getting attack plus 250%, defense plus 150. We've already gone over the crit, the 10% attack that he goes up to 50% with each attack performed. I like the fact he can support in Rose, which is good. Extreme class allies getting key plus 3 and attack plus 30% is pretty nice. And the fact they've changed the transformation conditions is good, because it means you can get to utilize that support as quick as possible. It's a shame the rest of his kit doesn't match up, isn't that great. So we're up to just under 700k right now, which I'm not gonna lie, even though we're not facing a superclass enemy, Big Bad Boss is a big help to this unit, and of course to extreme units. So the fact he has Big Bad Bosses is great. He's on just under 700k, which is good. The only thing is we're on turn 7. As I said, the only time where you're going to get to like turn 7, turn 9, where he's going to have some pretty good defense is Broly and Mega Shenron. The old Red Zone stages. Not even Cooler Core. He's not safe against Cooler Core. Like, yeah, you get that brief moment in the first phase where you can stack a bit. Cooler Core's got type advantage. Cooler Core does 1.6 million on a super. And that type disadvantage is gonna hurt him. So you kind of have to protect him by the time he's getting to these realms of defense that he can get to. And then again, if you consider the new Red Zone stages we got, they're 2 phases that hit extremely hard as soon as you start. Even Shadow Dragon Sin, like, you get a bit more time with him, but he starts doing damage, like a lot of damage, immediately, which this transforming Goku Black doesn't have the defense to contend with. Like, we're starting with 400k on a basic again. He starts with like 147k defense. There's 900k on a super attack immediately, even against Sin. Like, it's just not enough. And again, especially against the new red zone stages we got in the Dismal Future Edition, I probably should have put Tekka Zamasu in slot 1. It's fine though. I've made my point for the most part. It's not enough. As I said, the new stages from like Cell to Rose Zamasu, even before you consider Merge Zamasu, you're looking at 400k on a basic, 500k on a basic straight away. He has nowhere near enough defense to contend with that. Now, I'm not saying he should have 500k defense at the start, but he doesn't build up quick enough because all of his additional supers are locked behind facing superclass enemies. Yes, you get one freed up once you transform. But like those first few phases, this guy is just... he's weak. He's fragile. Everything in the game will catch him. Like, we're on turn 9. How often are you going to get into any event and get up to turn 9? Like, with the Rose support, he's on a 1.14 million attack stat. He's probably built up his attacks to 50% now. He's on 1.19 million defense, which is great. But how often are you ever going to get to turn 9? How often are you even going to get to turn 7? Not that often. Not that often. So with the support, I mean, you can see it down there. We are doing a ton of damage. 12 million attack stat on the Dokkan attack with the Rose support, with a 50% chance to crit and a 50% chance of an additional, and then potentially a potential system additional on top of that. That's good. And if we ever get some longer content that is getting like to turn 9 minimum or turn 7 minimum upward, Rose could probably shine a bit. If we ever get some superclass content, doesn't need to be long form, as long as it's against superclass enemies, Rose will shine. Because he will have those 2 additionals ready to go in base, and he have all his 2 additionals ready to go in Rose, and he can potentially super attack 3 times, 4 times with the potential system, and he can stack up incredibly quickly, the same way Trunks does. But right now, against extreme class enemies, and the events ending on like turn 5, turn 6 max, he's not going to have the time to get anywhere near the amount of defense he needs. And not only that, he's incredibly fragile for like majority of the event, like 75% of the event minimum. I mean, the positives I can take from this unit is maybe he's not as bad as I first thought from his details. He's still really bad, do not get me wrong. Like, he is not built for 2023 content. Like, I thought he was abysmal. He's not abysmal, he's terrible. Which, I mean, is that really a positive? He can do some decent damage in Rose. As I said, he does have a 50% chance to crit, like an 8.5, 9 million attack stat with a 50% chance to crit built in. He can do some damage, especially with one of those additionals, like, freed up. So he can actually do some good damage. He doesn't stack quick enough for current content. As I said, if there was a superclass version of Red Zone, or just long form content, like if you were getting to turn 7, turn 9 minimum like we did here, with the new stages, he could probably get going. He could probably take a bit of time, but he will get going. He could be decent. Unfortunately, that doesn't exist right now, so he doesn't really get a chance to get going. And again, he's just too fragile throughout too much of the event. And there are a lot more options that are worth taking over him who could do a much better job. That side EZA INT Zamasu, even Strength Rose, because you have that support immediately. You know, he's not as techy as he is in the very beginning. There's also the likes of Piccolo Jr. You could put Golden Frieza on the team. There's a bunch of other units you could choose over him that will do a much better job, especially early on. I mean, the support's nice, I guess. That's also that. It's just a shame of how bad they've made him. I can't lie. It just doesn't make sense. Like, Dokkan is putting this content out, and they've made his EZA with that in mind, and he's the complete opposite of what he needs to be. Like, if he had some guard in base, free up those additionals from superclass enemies, like maybe keep one attached to superclass enemies guaranteed, like free up the rest of the additionals, and he actually would have been fine. Because he would have had a lot going for him. He would have stacked up quickly, he would have been protected in base with the guard, you know, he would have had the support as well. Built-in crit. He would have actually had a lot going for him. But here we are. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Is Rose as bad as you thought, or is he a little bit better like I thought, but still terrible? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. I'll see you next video, guys. Take care, have a good rest of your day, and peace.